Welcome to Guys, a podcast about guys. I am Bryan. With me is my co-host, Mr. Anti-Smoking, Chris James.
Well, it's not a very creative insult you use this
Pieces
time.
of shit. We hate them.
I mean, I think, okay, yeah, like listen, I used to smoke. I would say I'm anti-smoking now. But I mean, just for health reasons, you know what I mean?
Health reasons.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's universally agreed that it's bad for your health.
Not settled. No. I'm afraid not, my friend. I'm afraid not. Some say that it's bad for your health. There are different opinions on that. It's not settled science.
Okay.
As you can hear, we have Belden here, and we're talking about nicotine, guys.
Hello. How are you guys doing? It's a pleasure to be here.
It was me and Brace stood outside of, we basically, every time we've hung out, we've smoked a million cigarettes. Yeah, and that's why I was like, I'm not doing this episode. There's one person I could get to guest on this episode, and it was Brace, because me and him, I quit like 2 years ago, but we were very proudly smoking.
I smoke.
You still do. You haven't quit yet, Brace? I shouldn't say yet. It sounds like maybe you're gonna stick this out.
My brother, I've smoked the first thing I ever smoked was a stolen Black and Mild when I was 12 years old. I said, this is delicious. And then I smoked a cigarette on a staircase that this older kid Gordon gave me, who was a kind of a bad kid, and I almost fainted. And I said, if something can make me faint, what things make you faint in life? Ghosts, which are crazy that they're real.
Yeah.
Naked ladies seen at a time that you didn't expect it. And that's on scary movies. Yeah. And so I was like, well, what's the fourth? Those are all cool things. People like those. Cigarettes got to be the best.
Yeah, I started, I'm gonna blow your guys' minds right now, is that I smoked my first cigarette, this is not a lie, when I was 9 years old.
Jesus,
3 years earlier than me. That is bad.
You are a nasty creature.
I was a nasty little kid. So my dad smoked and my parents were divorced, so I would go over to my dad's house. He smoked Craven A, was the brand, and
they made a cigarette for after cowards.
Yeah, that is weird. That is because smoking is brave. It's a very dangerous thing to do.
But I stole a pack from him and brought it home to my mom's house, and I smoked the cigarette under my bed, like in my room. And my stepdad, like my mom's boyfriend or whatever, came in, and I remember came in and was like, "What's that smell?" You know, but they just didn't even register in their brain that a 9-year-old could be smoking, so they assumed that it was coming from outside or whatever. So I never even actually got caught.
That is crazy. At 9, you smoked a cig in your room?
In my room, yeah. It was, listen, I was friends with this kid named Dean Mavericks. Well, maybe I shouldn't say his full name.
Nobody's going to go looking for him.
Yeah, but he was like, this guy was 1 year older, so this guy was 10. I mean, he was an older kid, and he was a pretty badass kid. So, you know, I got out of that phase pretty quickly. Like, I didn't keep smoking. I didn't, get into drugs and alcohol. I wasn't like that kind. I just had one cigarette at 9.
I felt like I got recruited by smoking. I was in the 6th grade, and there was this really cool dude named Aaron.
Yeah,
it was in the class. He had like Reebok pumps. He had everything. He wore a gold necklace when he was in 6th grade. The whole thing. He was just really pimping. And he walked up to me, and he was like, "Hey, do you smoke?" And I was like, "I don't smoke." In my mind, I was like, "No, I don't smoke." But I was like, "Yes, I do." And because I knew if I could get in with this guy, high school will be simple.
If he asked you anything there, you would have said yes. Probably, right? Like like, "Hey man, you suck yourself off." You would have been like, "Oh hell yeah,
I got the rib removed and everything." Well,
that's I go to this kid's house and we're smoking, but I'm not inhaling. But I'm smoking every day after school.
Clinton mode on.
Yeah. And then somebody goes, "You're not inhaling, Bryan." So then I would breathe it in and I would swallow. Because that's what I thought inhaling was. Swallowing?
I didn't even know what inhaling was.
You're really mixing up your Clinton stuff here too.
Yeah.
And so in the end, what it took was I took a drag off the cigarette, and this guy, Mike Ryan, just walked up and punched me in the stomach. And I went, and I was like, oh, that's how it works. So that's how I like kind of learned how to inhale. And I got like that crazy, but they call it Nick sick these days. That
oh, really?
Crazy buzz. Yeah.
Oh, just when you get like a head rush or whatever, you get like dizzy or whatever.
These kids are getting crazy buzzes now because of what they're doing. Brace, when did you start?
Well, I started basically at 12. So there was these two different places that you could buy cigarettes at. One was called like, I think people called it, I feel like they called it the candy store, but it was just like a 76 station. And that guy sold you cigarettes. And then there's this one place right next to Dolores Park called Shukri's, which is no longer there anymore. And he not only would sell you cigarettes, he'd sell you beer and liquor at 12 years old.
Wow.
And so that was like, I went there practically every day, but I started smoking Camel, like regular Camels. And then I wanted to smoke Camel ultra wides. I don't know.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. And then,
what are those? Like
they're wide cigarettes.
Are they shorter? Are they shorter?
No, same length, just wide cigarettes.
So more. There's just more cigarettes.
More, yeah.
When those started getting advertised around the store, me and my brother were like, we got to get these.
Yeah, because I was like, oh my God, dude, look how powerful they look.
How big are they? Like how?
I mean, not that much bigger, almost like a small cigarillo or something.
Okay, yeah.
Size more than maybe a regular cigarette. So they're like pretty thick. They're not like a cigar, but they sold them in packs of 20.
Yeah.
Just like that. And the packs were super wide because when I was really at the height of my smoking, I would buy Marlboro Light 25s. That was just that was where I went because the packs had 25 cigarettes in them.
Yeah. Oh, I never even seen those.
You never saw 25s? Yeah, we all smoked. Me and all my friends smoked 25s.
Wow.
And
were they king size? Because I remember there was regular and king size. The regulars were shorter and fatter, and the king size were longer and thinner.
Yeah, I don't think they call them
king.
Yeah, they just call them hundreds now.
Okay.
They call them hundreds here when I was growing. But yeah, so I would buy 25s. Even when I picked smoking back up a few years ago, before I quit again, Marlboro Black menthols were what I was smoking.
Wow.
Like,
What made you pick it back up? Just out of curiosity, like how long had you been off, and what precipitated?
More than a decade.
Okay, and what like
26?
What led you to smoke again?
I was telling Bryce this before we record. It was just live shows. So what had happened was we were doing these live shows and I didn't know what the fuck to do after the show. So I would go out. I just was like, well, fuck it. I'll smoke some cigarettes and I'll only do it after the shows. It'll be a fun, nice little thing I do after the shows. And then once I started doing that, I then said, anytime I'm doing street fight business, I'll smoke cigarettes.
That's a really good parameter set.
You went a little bit like road dog mentality though. You were kind of became a bit of a road dog where it's just like you don't really follow the rules or whatever when you're out on the road.
Well, Chris, you got to understand that Bryan's also been married for a long time too, and sometimes in marriages, from what I understand is that like sometimes you get to spice things up and like I want to look sexy for my wife.
Bryan knows all about spicing things up in a marriage.
Exactly.
But...
I mean, so that's of course. So Bryan, of course, tried the swinging thing. Obviously, that didn't work out, as I've read on multiple blog posts in a spectacular fashion.
Oh yeah.
The Dookie incident.
It didn't happen. Nothing happened, and I don't Dookie.
Well, I mean,
my Dookie's normal.
People think it's about poo, but it's actually for some reason involves multiple members of Green Day. And then, but you know, so you got to look cool for your wife again. So you start smoking, blowing in her face at dinner.
Oh yeah, the wife
putting it out of the spaghetti when she's making it.
The wife is gonna be all over you if you start smoking cigarettes and blowing it in her face.
Ashing it in the bed and then just pushing it off with your hand. Women love this kind of shit.
Oh yeah, it's a sexy look.
That's what hit me was when my wife started again because I had started again. I was like, oh, this is not great.
Well, she saw how cool you looked.
Well, but then, so it became
my wife looked cool.
Anytime I'm doing street fight business, then it became okay. The whole time I'm on tour, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that's it. And then I'm done. And then by the end, it was pack a day. I got right back up to a pack and a half a day. Like that. And I was just like, it just made me sick one day and I tossed them in the trash. But I will say this, if there is a such thing as a nicotine guy that doesn't smoke anymore, I'm a nicotine guy because I love nicotine.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, so for me, I started smoking pretty as heavily as I could as a kid. And then I got sent away for like a year. And what I would do is I would roll up pieces of toilet paper and pretend they were cigarettes and smoke them in the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
Nothing inside them.
No, it was just because I was like in the middle of, I was on a ranch. And then I got back and then all my friends are smoking in high school. All the bad kids went off campus and smoked cigarettes. And so it was like a very much like a cigarette economy for who could get a pack. And then they were kind of the person who was dispersing their favors for the day. And
prison like
very much so. People would trade all kinds of shit. Yeah. And then by the time I was like 16, then I was like smoking about a pack a day.
Yeah.
So then my first job I ever got was outdoors at a flower shop. I worked there for years, and I could just smoke at work while I was working.
That'll get you. That will fuck you.
Yeah, just the access to it. If you're just able to smoke all day long, especially while you're doing something like that's kind of maybe boring or whatever, you're trying to pass the time. Yeah, recipe.
That's what you're standing around being like, what about? But they've made smoking incredibly hard these days. Like we just got rid of menthols here, which is tough for me. That's why I'm glad I quit, because I don't know where to get menthols anymore.
Well, it's funny because like people always talk about like, oh yeah, like the government should clamp down on smoking. It's just like the government that had slavery when the country started, or the government that dropped an atomic bomb on people, or the government that did Jim Crow, or the government that gives whatever weapons they want to Israel. That same government, I should trust them to tell them what to do with my body.
Yeah. So one of the things I've noticed now is that all the nicotine guys are quitting smoking. They're not quitting nicotine at all. They're on patches. They don't wear the patches, but they chew the new stuff, the Zyn. Oh, do they love it? I was reading this guy who said, total noob, will 12 milligrams of Zyn figuratively kill me? He goes, I had no idea what I was doing when I ordered a 12 milligram juice head pack from Nico Kick. Thought the flavor sounded good. First of all, the flavor's juice head.
I'm looking this up right now.
I've never smoked or used any tobacco product. I ordered the pack as part of my research into Nico Kick's parent company, Hape. Can I just keep the pouch in for a short time to limit the nicotine intake? What's a short time? A minute? 5 minutes? Thanks for your help. So
dude, don't get someone else to do the research. Why are you never had the addiction? Why are you making yourself addicted to this thing?
Well, because really... you need to see if the thing that helps you quit works.
I used to chew the nicotine gums sometimes, like when I chewed tobacco. I've mentioned it before.
I was a dipper too.
I was a dipper, like I played baseball and my friends all played hockey, and we would like get together at lunch and we would chew tobacco. Skull. I chewed Skull Classic, which really tastes like manure. It's really, but that's kind of what you did with the gum, at least the old Nicorette gum or whatever, is that you'd chew it and then you'd put it in like a dip and just kind of have it in there. So when I was trying to quit smoking, which I did after chewing, I found that the gum was really good for people who chew tobacco. But having said that, the only way that I actually quit was just cold turkey. Was I just stopped.
Well, when I was in high school, 10th grade, I quit smoking and started dipping because I thought, you know what? I like this Kodiak wintergreen. They also had cherry flavored dip, and that's good for kids.
Oh, cherry was the nastiest. The cherry Skull. Oh, I hated it so much. I hated that flavor.
I tried dipping once because all like the like white trash. I went to like a bad kids high school, like a public high school for like kids who couldn't read or kids who did crimes. And all the white kids dipped. Some of the black kids dipped too. Actually, some of the kind of everybody dipped.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I sort of really associate with this one specific group of white dudes. But then I'm like, no, some of the black kids dipped too, and definitely some of the Mexican kids did. And I just remember them spitting to those fucking water bottles during class. It was so nasty. Like half the fucking like half a water bottle full of like just black
shoe spit. Yeah,
like,
it's
spit.
Disgusting. Completely.
Well, let me tell you,
big hockey thing.
And
big
they're just not like
hockey players do it a lot.
And you drink it because like you have a crush on the dude and want to get closer to him, and it's just fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
I have to say, I sat in the back of the classroom when I was dipping.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have like something to spit in with you. So I spit in the air conditioner.
What the fuck?
God, man. See, these people, like, I'm sorry.
That's despicable. We couldn't chew in class because we'd get in trouble. You know what I mean? Like the teacher but you were that addicted? Like we just waited until like the breaks or whatever.
Because I was addicted to cigarettes.
You were so addicted to nicotine. Yeah.
And again, I just love nicotine so fucking much that like, I don't know if I smoked in the bathroom a lot in high school.
Yeah.
I had a whole system for it. You know, you hold the cigarette like this, so it's in your hand, and then you stand real close to the urinal and you shake. Like, so it looks like you're jacking your Peter off.
Yeah, which I did do.
Yeah. Which is because they took the doors off the stalls in my high school.
What?
It was like prison. Yeah.
All right. So you didn't have doors on the stalls of your fucking shit toilet?
So you had to go take a shit and someone just walk in and see you?
They could. Yeah. Somebody could just walk in and see you.
What if you're drinking your fucking classmates' dip juice?
What if you're drinking, piss out of your classmates? What?
Wait, you had to shit in full view of your classmates through high school?
I mean, it's not like it was out in the middle of the hallway.
No, but if somebody comes
into
somebody comes in looking to use the bathroom and they come in and they would see you, they would walk up and see you.
Like it was highly discouraged. Shitting was highly discouraged where I was because they didn't want doors on the stalls because they were always trying to catch people smoking, because people were always smoking in a bathroom there. It always smelled like cigarettes.
Well, I
don't get it either, but
that doesn't even seem legal.
We never had an issue with people smoking or anything like that. We did have an issue where there was a period of time where someone was shitting on the floor or like over the toilet and stuff like that. And there was this big thing. It became this huge like investigation. They thought, is it someone struggling in the washroom who's like, or is it somebody like doing whatever? Guess what? Turned out it was my brother's best friend who was doing this thing called sky dumping, where he would sit on top of the stall. So he would get on top of the stall and put like one leg on each side, one arm on each side, and then he would try to shit into the toilet from the top. And he would often miss.
We had brick walls between them, the stalls. I'll say that.
What the fuck?
Yeah, what kind of place is it? Yeah,
what kind of
Groveport Madison High School and Groveport, Ohio.
Jesus Christ. See, my high school, they let you smoke. There was, I went to more than two high schools, but the high school I spent most of my time at was a continuation school, which was famous in the district because they had ashtrays and you could smoke. But they removed that while I was there.
That sucks. They can't do that.
You could still
they can't do
smoke.
it. But did you have a grandfather clause? Like, were you able to because you were there before?
Well, no. Now it just became you could smoke, but you just had to smoke off campus, which was like, I don't know.
We weren't even allowed to do that.
But like, I also only went to school for 3 hours a day, and so
they would say if you're smoking during school hours, they can get you. Because one time I did try. I got in so much trouble for this. I was like, okay, so I walked right over onto the other side of the fence for the property of the high school, and I was just smoking openly. Like, this is great. I'm smoking. Principal comes down. He's like, hey, what are you doing? I start yelling. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not on school property. And then didn't realize that I was going to have to go on school property to go to school. So the minute I walked over the line, I was in trouble. And they took me to the office. It was not Perfect.
Yeah, sorry. I just before we do get to the actual, episode or whatever, this just reminded me, it's not really related, but I had a principal in elementary school named Mr. Welton, and he had the biggest ears in the world. They like stuck out fully. And in the middle of us going there, he got surgery to take his gigantic ears and press them up against his head, and he looked even weirder. And it was like I think about it still to this day,
Yeah, we had a guy we had Mr. Holcomb, and he was always like pink, like Tom from Tom and Bunny. He was always like, and my brother fucking got suspended for calling him nipple face.
We had at my regular high school, like the regular high school I went to for like 3 months, we had just this vice principal who biked around all the time and would yell at you. And then at the continuation school I had, we had a guy who was just in charge of telling you not to talk to the regular high school kids because our high school was near it. And like you couldn't give them cigarettes. Like they was basically like you guys like can't contaminate. Because we were in the same school district, but like we weren't allowed to like. I think our lunch was at different times and shit.
What did you do?
Quarantine.
What caused you to go to that school?
I was on probation and for a fire that I did not, and I say this in sincerity, I didn't do it.
Okay.
But I was on, and for vandalism, some of which I did do, but not the stuff that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I was present for the fire. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what happened to me when I got busted by the police. Like, exactly. Well, I lied to the police, lied to the court when I had to go to this thing called teen court, right? And it's teenagers doing the court.
It's like the judge is a teenager?
So the judge is an adult, but everybody else is the bailiff is a teenager, and it's all teenagers that have been in trouble.
That sounds like a reality show, like on real? Spike TV.
Your Honor, my client is the Rizzler. I don't know how teenagers talk.
So the way it worked was the first time you get busted as a minor, you go to teen court.
What the fuck, man? How is this like? How is this an actual thing?
How am I just learning about this for the first time?
This is crazy.
Wait, so who is your lawyer?
Another student that had been another bad kid that got in trouble.
A bad kid?
A bad kid? Yeah. Not even like a kid, like an organized kid?
Your Honor. If you get me out of teen court, I'll tell my client to confess.
No. So what happens is the first time you go, you're the defendant, right? So you go in there, a bad kid walks into the room and is like, I'll be your lawyer. What's this? What's that? What? So I told a total fucking complete lie. And then we went out and they plead the case and I got no punishment. They were like, no punishment for you because it seemed like you were the victim here.
But is this like sponsored by the state? Is this like an official, like this is in a real courthouse?
Yeah, it's in a real courthouse. It's in a real juvenile courthouse.
And it has a real judge, like a real...
There is a real judge there, but everybody else is a teenager that's been in trouble for something. So then the following week after I lied and got out of trouble, I had to come back and be a lawyer. And then the week after that, I had to be a bailiff. And then the week after that, I had to be a prosecutor.
The week after that, I had to be a lawyer, Brian.
Who did you defend? And how many years did they get?
You have to. I did a bad job defending because I kind of told him to lie, and it was just kind of like because it was bullshit. This is how I defended somebody who ran into a gas station with 3 of their friends and each grabbed a 24-pack of beer and ran out of the gas station.
I've done that.
And
classic smash and grab.
And the way that I got out of trouble was I got busted with 2 other guys smoking weed in a park at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and we had like a half ounce on us. And we got busted. I got a curfew violation. I had to go to teen court. So when I got to teen court, I was like, so these, and the 2 guys that I was with were like 1 or 2 years older than me. I was like, these older kids, like they were picking me up from work and they said, you're going to have to go to the park and smoke marijuana with us. And that was my case. That
like you got molested into smoking marijuana.
It was very weird. It was but I ended up getting out of trouble. But then, I did 4 weeks. That's what teen court was. It was like a way to teach bad kids what it's like to go to court. And, sometimes they would have to tour a juvenile detention facility if they got in trouble.
Yeah,
that was one of the things.
Well, Bryan into a swinger.
Well, I'm a straight. No, it's just going to be silly. I do want to say this 12 milligram question for this guy that's doing a project goes, does the guy replies and goes, does the phrase drop your dick in the dirt mean anything to you? Yeah.
No, it doesn't. I've never heard it.
Never heard it.
Yeah, that's going to be rough. Why are you using pouches if you haven't used nicotine before? Like, to each their own, but in general, picking up nicotine for shits and giggles isn't the best idea. This is the main thing that I ended up finding is these pouches are fucking hardcore. Like, really, really, really fuck you up and make you throw up and pass out. And
yeah.
It's
like the Zyn is we're talking about the Zyn stuff. And is it meant to do that? Is that like part of it that it's meant to turn you off of it, or is that just okay? It's
meant to get more nicotine in you.
Well, so it's a like I looked this up while you were reading the question because I was like, oh, how many milligrams are you supposed to? I think if you smoke a pack a day, the equivalent in Zyn pouch is a 9 milligram pouch.
Yeah,
and so if you're doing 12, that's like a pack and a half of cigarettes a day, and this guy's going from nothing to that. I mean, come on.
Well, going from nothing so that you can learn what it's like to quit is I've never even considered somebody doing something like that.
At least smoke them then if you're going to quit. Get that nice feeling of smoking a cigarette.
That's wonderful. Lopsided Bat 904 says, I wouldn't even dare to do 6 milligrams as my first time. 6 milligrams, even with a tolerance, buzzes my dick off.
Buzzes my dick off. These guys have a cool vernacular. The way they talk is these are cool guys.
Shit buzzes my fucking dick off, bro. The thing is, I don't like Zyn.
You've tried it. You've tried it before.
Tried it multiple times. For a while in San Francisco, there was this thing. I mean, Zyn is the same thing as like snus or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just got a better name. And for a while, Camel introduced snus. Like they had purchased some like snus company or something, but they were bringing it to America. And I would hang around at this bar called the Hemlock in San Francisco. And I would just, and there was a smoking section there. There's like a room that you could smoke in. And they would always have these girls that would come by that would just be giving out free fucking snus. And so I ended up having like 30 packs of snus because they came to the bar basically every night. And they didn't remember me, even though I would leer at them and take loud pictures with my flip phone with them and try to pose with them, try to smoke on a piece of their hair like it was a cigarette. But I would do it, and I was a heavy smoker, and it would make me sick.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would hurt, it would tingle my lip too much, and then it would make me sick.
Okay, so just to be clear, because I think there's a little bit maybe American, Canadian, or maybe just in what we called stuff. So snus, what is snus that you're referring?
Pouch. It's the pouch tobacco
with nicotine salts in it, from what I can tell. This guy says
because snus to us is a Swedish thing. It's a thing that it's a tobacco that you snort.
No, that's snuff.
Snuff. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we would call it snus as well. That's why. That's the confusing thing.
I have my friend just told me a snuff story.
Yeah, I've done snuff. We used to snort it too. We used to do that.
Great. I've never seen it for sale.
Yeah, no, we had it for sale in Canada for sure when I was younger, definitely. And then we'd have friends who would like bring it back or order it in from places. But we definitely took it. It was pretty fucking wild snorting this stuff. Like I had never done cocaine or anything like that. I'm just snorting it burned. It burned like you wouldn't imagine.
I started. Waterboy says, I started dipping and smoking about 10 years ago. I bought the 12 milligram juice heads thinking I'd be fine. When I tell you I was Nick sick within 5 minutes, I'm not even joking. I pawned that shit on my buddy and he got sick as shit too. So
people are just getting sick from this. And again, this is not what it's meant to do. Is it meant to have you quit?
I don't know. I think it's kind of like dip, but no spit. And so like, it's just something that you kind of have in your, there's people say it gives you energy or whatever. I don't trust anyone who smokes for any reason, but to not feel crazy because they don't have a cigarette. Yeah, but like, this is people like who, I think for some people, it's almost like a dark nootropic or something. Like, it's like on their dark stack of like, it's like a monster and a Zyn or whatever, but like it's just what it's doing is like it's just putting nicotine salts into your bloodstream through your lip, but it always burns my lip hella bad. I think it gave me a canker sore once.
Yeah, and they say this guy frequent drama says, "LOL, I double dip sometimes, little upper and lower decky."
Oh, upper decker.
Two
We used to go with the upper lippers every now and then, but that was, of course, when you're dipping and your lower lip got too sore from tobacco, and you literally couldn't do it anymore. But we were so addicted that we'd put it up top.
Here's no foil. Which Brace, you're gonna love this guy. I think you're gonna like this guy. Please use your head. Have you ever heard of a fatal overdose from a nicotine pouch or cigarette? No, you haven't, because it's not possible unless you drink a bottle of nicotine extract.
Well, so I remember when I was young looking on Arrowwood. There was people talking about how they were shooting nicotine. Like they were injecting nicotine and like the feelings that it gave them. And they would always like, it's funny because I ended up snorting what's that fucking Wellbutrin because of what I read on Arrowwood, because I read it gave you a cocaine like high. Let me tell you, it does not give you a cocaine like high. And I snorted a lot of it when I was in a halfway house.
We did an episode on Arrowwood, guys. So
yeah, they are fucking liars, dude. They're people who are just like, they feel something and they feel different than usual, and then they try to like put that into a category that other people might find palatable often. And one of those categories is cocaine, and that is not what. And so that's like also what one of the nicotine guys, I remember vividly being like, yeah, it was like, yeah, it's really speedy and like, you know, like you feel like an amphetamine. I'm like, no, you don't. If you inject nicotine, you're not feeling a consistent amphetamine like high. You might feel like a weird rush or something, but like your body is probably so fucked beyond that point that I cannot trust you to have a normal sensation or reaction to things.
Have you tried snorting nutmeg though?
I did. I don't understand how that works, because I don't think I've ever actually seen nutmeg in its pure form. But I remember people would get drunk off of that.
Yeah, they would get fucked. We read some stories of people getting fucked.
It seems very unpleasant.
Yeah, it seems like just a bad time.
I have seen firsthand somebody drink 2 bottles of fucking mouthwash and have alcohol poisoning.
Oh, fuck, man. Yeah, my brother did that with Robitussin, but didn't.
Well, that's different. That's DXM. That's
different.
Orthopene. Yeah. That's a drug. That fucks you up and also makes you shit a lot as well. It's bad.
Here's an odd guy that says can't build a tolerance to nicotine. I mean,
why are you trying?
I'm in the UK and I'm trying to find low strength pouches, but even 4 milligrams feels like too much and it makes me sick. Right now I'm using 6 milligram Velo because it's the lowest strength I'm finding, and I'm sick after 30 minutes. The most I can do is 2 4 milligram pouches a day or 1 6 milligram a day before I get really sick. I just can't build any tolerance. I've been using pouches for about 2 weeks now.
Okay, well, we haven't given enough time, but also, like, why are these people so aggressively trying to? They seem to be trying to get addicted to nicotine,
and that's nobody goes into it thinking. Everybody that I know that had got into nicotine was like, well, I just simply won't get addicted.
Yes. I mean, here's the thing. Nobody wants to be addicted to being addicted to smoking cigarettes sucks. Yeah. It sucks ass, dude. Trying to fucking see Lord of the Rings. Oh, and you're like, oh, can we stop real quick? I gotta go smoke my fucking Noopy.
I gotta smoke a cigarette. Yeah, I'm going after we finish recording this. Not to,
Mr.
but
Braggy, and
I'm going to Dune too, and that's a 2-hour 45-minute movie.
I already saw it, and it's and let me tell you this: smoking the whole time in there, I was. I'm lighting that shit up, and I told because it's like it's one of those IMAX things where they have.
I'm going to IMAX. I'm going to IMAX. Oh, you went to the 4D, the 4DX experience.
My friend said he went to it, and for Dune 1, and it sprayed spice in his face.
Yeah.
I didn't know that those existed.
We have one, 4DX, the 4DX experience here, and I went and saw the Super Mario Brothers movie, and it was the worst experience of my life. Just being thrown around as like water sprays at my face for no reason. It was just fucking awful. Ruined the movie.
Can you eat popcorn and shit while that happens? Or
yeah, you can kind of, but then you start eating it and it shakes around and your fucking popcorn spills everywhere. It's really unpleasant.
Wow.
So let's move off of people who really want to get addicted to nicotine. And this guy has a question. Has anyone tried making tea with the nicotine pouches? Maybe stir it up in a little hot water.
Steep it? Like
What?
Yeah.
Why are you trying
Like
to find
opium
these
tea or something?
Yeah, like mushroom tea, I guess. You would drink mushroom tea.
But
That's
what effect would you get from this?
well, why? For what purpose?
There are a few answers. One guy says the bag will break and you will either poison yourself or shit yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Aiden the Alien 420 said you're going to poison yourself. And then List Potential says extremely stupid idea. Almost zero bioavailability besides the minimal time it takes for it to travel from your mouth to your throat, unless you're planning on inhaling the tea. Fuck no. And then here's the guy that gives the final say on it. He goes, good way to vomit, shit yourself, and possibly have a heart attack. That said, with a dip user's amount of tolerance, you could put 2 milligrams, 3 milligram pouch in a tea or coffee and sip it slowly, knowing you're in it for the nicotine through the mouth. Hold each sip for 5 to 30 minutes.
Perfect.
And only have as bad a stomach as you've had swallowing all the spit from using the pouch. Don't chug it all at once. That'd be all heart attack and no fun.
Okay, so you might be sick, vomit, shit yourself, and have a heart attack, but I still think it's like something you could do, is what he's saying. But like if you were like really careful with it and you did he say hold the tea sip in your mouth for 5 to 30 minutes?
I'm hoping he means don't do 5 to 30 minute sips. You know what I mean? Sip it.
Yeah. I can't hold the liquid in my mouth that long. I don't know if I've tried. I'm trying to think of how long I've held like liquid in my mouth for. I can't imagine longer than a minute though.
So a thing smokers really hate these days is called plain packaging laws. They have it in Canada.
The stuff where it has the babies and stuff, and it has all the warnings on it.
Yeah.
Well, they don't mind those warnings. They actually goof about the warnings.
Oh, the warnings have become funny now. Yeah.
Warning: you might get too much fucking pussy from this thing.
Yeah, it's so funny, and they're so desensitized to it, though. You know what I mean? That it's just like they laugh about it. It's like, yeah, but it's like it's reality in their face on the cover, showing their future. It does
not, because it's like a warning: you might get throat cancer. Yeah, it's a cigarette, dumbass. Yeah. What do you think I'm gonna get?
This one, they showed a pack. This guy goes, so plain packaging now involves a naked man. Better or worse than original packaging? So it is a naked man all curled up in a bed, and it says smoking increases the risk of impotence.
Oh, whatever. Here's the thing. Well, it's okay. I might be impotent, but without cigarettes, I would not have a woman in my bed. So,
and what would I do after I made love to her and I was finished?
I don't understand.
Sitting beside each other with white sheets.
Yes, I'm naked, curled up. I understand my dick isn't working, but here's the thing. I did a body mod. I have lizard tongue, and I just ate her pussy in a unique way.
And also, have you heard about these things called dick implants, where you can basically just pump your dick up and make it work no matter what? So,
yeah. And also, I'm sorry, there's a little company called Blue Chew, and I chew about 15, 16. I make tea with that stuff.
I make my Blue Chew tea in the morning. I'm hard all day.
My dick don't work because of the fucking snooze tea, but then I drink my pre-workout with Blue Chew in it. Actually, I think that some workout people do take ED pills because it like opens the bloodstream. Or whatever.
I would believe
with
that.
What is it called? Smelling salts.
Yeah,
which I've gotten really into, by the way. I love smelling salts.
Where do you get smelling salts?
On the internet. I don't have any, but my friend does at his house, and anytime I've been to Barstool Sports, they've had smelling salts.
Sick.
That
seems like something that Portnoy would keep on.
Well, he doesn't. He's not. I don't get to see him there. I did see a dwarf there, but which is good luck. But they really wake you the fuck up, dude. It's crazy.
They do.
But then I smelled too many on New Year's Eve and I threw up. I
believe that because I smelled one time and it fucking woke me up out of I told the story on the stream, like I was getting a stent pulled out of my kidneys because I had kidney stones and they had to stick a really long hook in the head of my penis and pull it out that way.
Oh, why?
Jesus
And when it was
Christ.
done, I was like, I think I'm okay. I think because they were like, it doesn't hurt that bad, and it really didn't hurt that bad.
There's
I'll
not
say
enough
that.
fentanyl in the world to get me through that.
And so in the end, they did it, and I was like, I think I'm okay. And then I stood up out of the chair and immediately fainted and was on the floor. Like, just, it was so traumatic. And then they came up yelling at me, "You can't lay here. You can't lay here." So then they started cracking smelling salts in my nose to get me up, and it did get me up. I was.
Oh yeah, it works. Did you pee blood the first time afterwards?
I think maybe I did. Yeah. This guy says ironic since smoking increases testosterone, which I don't know if that's.
Well, let's just go with it.
Yeah, I think that
it needs some W's. It needs some W's these days. It needs some positive aspects.
Listen, people have been doing it since the beginning of time, dude. And it's not like they just started doing it because they hated themselves. They started doing it for good medicinal reasons. It's fucking ancient medicine. And like Western, it's just interesting that like Western white like colonial stuff dictates what I can put in my body. As obviously, like, I don't think I'm native to Israel. I know that, Bryan, you told me off camera that like you think I am.
I did.
But you know, you couldn't say it like on the show or stuff. I don't think I am. Like, I think that I'm just American. You said that I'm not because of whatever Judaism, but like
never.
And then you showed me your kidney stones. And in fact, smoked one.
Have my kidney stones.
You smoked one off a tinfoil, which I thought was crazy.
I don't have them. That's how you can tell you're lying. I don't have my kidney stones.
Didn't you keep them?
They did, but I didn't. I don't know why, but like I had it for a few months.
Yeah.
My kidney stone experience was like the first time I think I realized I'm a psycho. Was like that.
Why?
Because after I had them, they were like, "Hey, man, it's really important that you pee through this funnel in order to see if the stone passes." And it's like a funnel with a little screen in it.
Oh no.
And I'm like, I just was like, I ain't peeing through a fucking funnel. Fuck you, you know? And he was like, well, then, you know, we're not going to know if it passes. And of course it didn't pass. So then I go back and he's like, now are you going to use the funnel? And I was like, no, I'm not going to use the fucking funnel again. It doesn't pass. I go back a third time and they're like, we got to operate on you now, because this kidney stone is so big and it's blocking something. And then it was just, I was like, yeah, it's the same thing with when I was a roofer. I wouldn't wear a hard hat. I'm just not a guy. I'm a pain in the ass. I'm not like a good patient.
You're a bruiser.
You're a classic heavy.
You're a heavy. You're somebody who's like pretty much not to be fucked with.
No. Like I'm shocked you're wearing sleeves right now.
He really does.
I mean, I mean, I get it because you're in full IDF dress uniform, but the sleeves is
an IDF uniform.
It's not dress uniform, but it's just, you know, it's like the regular uniform. But it's the sleeves is what's throwing me off here.
Here's a question I think you guys might be able to help. What is the most healthiest vape? I know all vapes are unhealthy.
Bray's just coughing from taking a vape hit right there.
They're pretty
I
much.
woke up with a cough this morning. I was like, this is God saying this is going to be a great podcast.
Is that what's in that vape that you're vaping?
I have, this is menthol. This is the only, I smoke Juul. I smoke Juul. They don't still have it.
Oh.
I have to, well, in New York, at least they don't. I have to go and ask the guy, can I get the 5% menthols? And then he takes out from under the counter. But I smoke Juul. And I didn't realize Juul to me is still new. It's a new technology because it made it less. Juul was the thing that broke through the vape barrier where it made it okay for normal people to vape because you didn't need a rig.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like that embarrassing. And now everyone's smoking these fucking air bars, which, by the way, are too crazy. They don't have normal flavors like menthol. It's like Alaskan desert ice or whatever, or like
Rick and Morty flavor. I walk by this place all the time that has those bars, and they're like, they have Rick and Morty flavor. They got the South Park flavor. They got like, how do you pick?
Exactly. And so I smoke these, and so I have had multiple people come up to me like, oh damn, you're still smoking that? I'm like, still smoking this? This is the new thing.
It is really fucking new. Like, in terms of like I don't know. I think it came out when the Strokes were really big, like 2010. Let's say 2010, and that's after the Strokes.
Yeah, I think the Strokes were big,
like 2005,
early too, because I went to the Strokes concert when I was maybe 19 or so. Yeah, I think it was around early 2000s.
2010.
Yeah, let's say 2010.
Yeah, the Strokes were long gone. Nobody was interested in Julian Casablancas and the Boys, although they did make a bit of a resurgence in the late 2010s.
Yeah, they were good. Our cigarettes, Gonzo Antifa. Is it you, Bryce?
That's me.
He says, do we really smell that, man?
Yeah.
Seen a lot of stuff from anti-smokers that say we smell absolutely awful no matter what. I have brutally honest friends and family that would tell me if I smelled. I always smoke outside and I use body spray. Usually they can tell when I come in, but not all the time. Am I just delusional, or does it really not matter that much? I get paranoid that I smell bad when I'm in school, especially giving presentations. I'm a fourth-year architect major, so we have to be, quote, presentable. So he uses body spray, which
Axe body spray. So I can imagine he's got probably a really good smell.
And yeah, the
Axe
combination. Axe body spray, Banaka. Banaka, a little aftershave, slather that motherfucker on in the school bathroom. And then, of course, the effluviance of tar dandruff shampoo.
This guy smells so bad. I will say, people who smoke so much, like all the time, who just like they stink and they can't help it. They get that like on their hands and stuff. But otherwise, like the smell of someone right after they smoked a cigarette is awful. But otherwise, if you're like a smoker who smokes every now and then, I don't think it's that bad if you do take care of yourself.
People always say shit like, "Oh, it's like making out with an ashtray." It's like, okay, so
I fucked 4 ashtrays.
It's all right. Yeah, exactly. First of all, I've seen video of one person on this podcast having sex with multiple ashtrays at the same time at a resort.
Oh, and it wasn't me.
Chicken breast.
And yeah, I mean his penis looked like Vesuvius, like it was covered in ash.
I never fucked an ashtray. This comes out later, and now I'm gonna be looking at my phone one day, and 87 people are gonna say, Bryan fucked an ashtray.
I'm sorry. You put your penis in a thrusting motion through the little cigarette slits in an ashtray.
No, those aren't big enough.
No, it was a lot of room to maneuver. So it was sort of like it was kind of like
you said, do you have any that have smaller holes in them?
Yeah,
so that I can actually feel some.
They were. If you zoom in on the video, which is easy to do.
And I have.
Oh, I have. It actually, they're Virginia Slim branded.
Oh, I knew you were going to say Virginia
specifically for that. And of course, you call them vagina slime, as you
oh my God, you're so Groveport. That is the most Groveport thing. Vagina slime.
That's what we used to call them. Virginia slime. We used to call. I'll tell you this. People think of as Asia as the #1 cigarette smoking place in the world, and they do. They smoke a lot of cigarettes there. But you walk around the streets of the Orient, and people are not smoking your regular cigarettes a lot of the time. They're smoking their teeny little fucking thin ciggies.
Yeah, that's weird. I saw a guy posting recently outside of the research of this that Virginia Slims are like, it was a guy saying like, guys need to not be ashamed of smoking Virginia Slims. It's like, okay.
I think listen, if you want to smoke a tiny little cigarette, that's your lifestyle. But whatever you do is it's your choice. I'm a constitutional conservative. I'm fine with that. Yeah. But I just will say, you are smoking the Virginia Slim. That is kind of a girl's name for a cigarette.
And it does like have that. And maybe it's just from seeing it so much, but there is like a feminine quality to it with the tiny little cigarette holding it like that, which again,
it's hard to ash.
Yeah. And it's just like something about that tiny, the way that you're holding onto it. It looks dainty. It looks a little dainty. You know?
It is a dainty.
I want to start selling, what do they call it? Alabama welterweights. And like, fucking.
This guy says, I love the smell of a smoker. If people don't like it, they can move away from you. Their choice. And then
they can move. They can uproot their family.
Yes.
And they can sell their home and go through the sale of a home and purchase a new one if they don't like you smoking cigarettes constantly.
I want to give you guys this guy that I found. You're going to love this guy. I love the smell of a cigarette smoker, especially in a woman's hair. Which is funny because women are often self-conscious about that and try to keep their distance while I'm looking like Joe Biden, conjuring up any pretense I can find to lean in and take a good whiff of that smoky hair perfume.
This guy is a full-fledged creep. This guy is fully like, hey, anybody else take this cigarette thing a little further? Anyone getting horny for this?
Of course, I mean, we have to. I mean, Bryan texted me that he wanted me to bring this up because he felt it would be made fun of if he did. But the smoking porn, people very much like.
Oh yeah,
I've never watched it, I guess, but I know someone who did it. And what you do, obviously, there's varying. Like there's anything from full penetration to what would be more soft core. But some of these girls are just sitting there smoking cigarettes, and there's guys who, for some reason, that is horny for them.
Yeah. They always say it's like a mom thing. You know what I mean? Like where like people who are into feet because they looked at their mom's feet all the time or whatever.
No, the foot thing is because that is really my friend who's a neuroscientist explained this to me. The foot thing is because whatever center that talks about feet in your head is right next to the sexual pleasure thing. And so if the wires kind of get crossed, you're into feet. That's why it's so common. But that means you literally brain damage if you're trying to use a foot Hunter Biden style. Because I've seen the president's son get jacked off with feet on the video.
Oh, I didn't know they had video of this guy.
They've got a lot of video.
I've seen a lot of video.
He was not very good at keeping swept under the rug.
What I don't understand is this. I'm somebody who has enjoyed a hit from a damn crack pipe once or twice in my life. Feels good, tastes good. The smoke doesn't linger on you, although you wish it did. I've never been like, oh, I should set up the old fucking iPad and film this. So like the idea of filming yourself like smoking crack and to watch it later is crazy to me.
Maybe he was just smoking crack all the time and also doing a lot of filming himself, and they just happen to sort of overlap sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, is that a possibility?
I could believe him. I could believe that he was filming all these things and then trying to like making like a fake email address and trying to like write to China and be like, I'm willing to sell you some blackmail stuff on Hunter Biden for $20 million. Lead back to Newport's, a Camry and a plane ticket to fucking San Diego.
This person, I guess Jenna Ortega smokes. She's a 20-year-old actress. And it came up in r/cigarettes. Twitter has been going absolutely mental over the actress Jenna Ortega, 20, being a cigarette enjoyer. Rarely do I venture to that trash part of the internet, but the anti-smokers have come out in their droves, as you'd expect. This sub stands for, as do I, adults being allowed to do as they please. Poor Jenna being infantilized by the same fans who wish she'd start an OnlyFans. So, first of all...
What?
Well, okay. I don't know that.
Is that a big Jenna Ortega fan thing? I think her fans are mostly teenage girls.
I don't know.
It is a weird thing when celebrities smoke in modern day when you like find out that a celebrity smokes or whatever.
I think
it is
a lot of them
shocking.
do. I think a lot of celebs. I think like probably more like per capita, more celebs probably smoke than regular people.
Anytime I'm around somebody that's like even semi kind of famous, they're smoking, or anytime you run into them, I
ran into John Hamm at backstage at the UCB theater, and this guy was smoking inside, drinking a bottle of Budweiser.
I was about to say he's also probably drunk off his ass.
He was drinking out of a bottle of Bud and smoking cigarettes inside the venue. This was when it was not legal to do so, you know, but it was just like this guy looked as cool as
John Hamm drinks probably 3 barrels of liquor a day. Everyone I know who lives in LA is like sees John Hamm. He's like a street drunk. Like he walks around like Silver Lake, just stumbling at.
He's often by the UCB theater, the one on Franklin, because there's a restaurant right beside it that he goes to a lot, a famous restaurant.
Go there next. I'm going to have gone there next week. This guy says, honestly, think anti-smoking people are much more annoying than vegans. Which is his like as
vegans are known as famously. I don't know if that's true though, you know, because non-smokers aren't feeling the need to always tell you about the fact. That's the famous thing about vegans, right? How they're always saying it to I think that's
most people don't smoke anymore, and so no one's like, it's kind of a given, but like, well, here's the thing. And I remember when they passed a law in San Francisco that you couldn't smoke within 20 feet of like an entranceway.
They have that here. They have that,
which means you can't smoke on the street. And I remember thinking, I was like, damn, okay, well, like they're passing more and more laws to restrict my people. And like, you know, you can't smoke here, you can't smoke there. I can't smoke in the apartment anymore. I can't smoke at work anymore. Like I can't smoke in the hospital, even though that's where I should smoke, because if I get cancer, it's better to be closer to here. I can't smoke. I can't smoke at bars. I can't smoke it anywhere. And it reminded me so much of the Nuremberg laws that I thought like something bad eventually. And then all these things, and then they started printing on our cigarette packs. You will die. We will kill you. You will die. Your dick doesn't work. You have no money.
That dick doesn't work part is such bullshit.
And so I think this is actually what Bryan suggested me before we started recording.
I didn't suggest anything to Bryan.
Just like Israel was created after World War II.
I'm just gonna mute my microphone here if you don't mind.
Cigarette smokers need their own Israel. Cigarette smokers need their own Israel. Bryan suggested Nevada.
Nevada?
Yeah. Smoking is illegal everywhere else in the world, but you could smoke anywhere, hospitals, preschools, anywhere you want. And Nevada is a free smoke zone.
You wouldn't get that much pushback, I feel like, from people in Nevada. Like, I haven't been there for a long time, but when I was there, they were very, very pro smoking.
That place was so heaven to me when I went there, because I could just walk around smoking cigarettes all day. You walk in the door, you're smoking a cigarette. You walk out the door, it's like there's just smoking cigarettes everywhere that you can go. The
Bahamas was, I lived in the Bahamas for a period of time, and it was, you know, it was 10 years ago or so, and in Nassau, it was exactly like that. You could smoke everywhere, anywhere. People were smoking inside the grocery store, and like, I remember walking around the casino drunk, gambling, and smoking cigarettes, and it really was one of my good memories. At that time.
Philippines, I smoked a lot everywhere.
Yeah.
This guy goes, honestly, I think, okay, so this person replies, did you know you're killing yourself? And then the person comes back and says, no, I'm stuck in the 30s when people thought they were actually healthy. And then a guy responds and says, they actually are healthy. If you consume something 20 to 120 times a day, every single day for half a century or more before it kills you, that's healthy in my book.
You know what? That is technically not true.
No, it's not, because a lot of people died from it.
Yeah, and also, like, what do you mean if you consume something? Like, if you have 20 sips of water a day, you're good. Well, probably more than that. But what do you if you consume something 20 times a day and you don't die for 50 years? That means it's good for you.
Yeah, it's healthy. I think he overplayed his hand by saying healthy. He could have said it's you know, it's neutral. It's a neutral thing. It's like,
but I don't think you can even, all jokes, I don't think you can even say that.
You
I think
cannot
there is a lot of.
It is plainly bad for you. There is no way. Even just taking aside what we know, right? Like, even like if we're going back to like 1948 and like you're a doctor or whatever, there's What world could you live in where inhaling smoke, keeping it in your lungs, and then expelling it multiple times a day is not bad for you in even a small way?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense at all. Like,
It doesn't even matter what you're inhaling. If you're inhaling any kind of smoke, really.
Smoke is medicine, though. Actually, that's something that you're not considering, though. Smoke can be medicine, but only if it's ganja.
Well, and then this guy goes, American culture. If you smoke, you're a pariah, but if you smoke weed constantly to the point of brain cell loss, that's okay.
No, I think that they're both bad. The smoking element of it. I think that what some people say is that marijuana has different, positive aspects to smoking, but they're both unhealthy. I think that's agreed upon. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing about it's just interesting that just as a white person, not to quote Bryan or anything, but as a white person, it's just interesting that like they killed off a lot of our cigarette smoking guys like Humphrey Bogart and Johnny Cash. And yet a lot of rappers who smoke weed are allowed to be alive still. And in fact, are much younger than like Humphrey Bogart. And they haven't killed a lot of them off yet. And it's just, I find it interesting that weed is basically accepted now. But if you smoke cigarettes, you're basically on par with, I don't know, the worst thing that you could possibly be.
Well, listen to this cigarette guy. He goes, I'm Gen X. And while I welcome weed becoming normalized, how can a plant be illegal? He says, I don't like how it's seen as totally harmless. I also hate it when people reek of it. This is a smoker saying
this is a smoke. Nobody's reeking of weed. Somebody reeks of weed if they have weed on them. Like if you just smoke weed, maybe you smell like weed, but you're not like these days. People are not like reeking of weed everywhere.
This guy says it makes me physically ill. I get a buzz off it that I didn't ask for.
Oh, hello, contact high alert.
I've also noticed people making it a part of their personality too. That said, it's far less harmful than alcohol, which leads me to another rant. Alcohol is allowed to be advertised on TV, but tobacco isn't. It's akin to advertising heroin.
Nope.
I'd love to see
no.
No, not. Nope. It is not akin to that.
No. Yeah, it's
definitely cigarettes are closer to that than alcohol is in terms of addiction.
It's tough because a lot of people that don't smoke know that you don't get a buzz after a while from nicotine, that it's a maintenance thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like but they're always like, why would you smoke this even if it doesn't get you high? And I'm like, well, because it still feels good, technically.
It feels good, but it staves off feeling bad. Like for street fight or guys listeners that don't understand what smoking is. Think of how like Bryan's orgy thing is. Like he doesn't go because he has fun at them anymore. He goes for maintenance.
Yes, he goes because he has to, or he doesn't feel whole.
Exactly.
I've never been to one.
If he doesn't. Well, you never. Okay, you never been to one. They're kind of just with you all the time.
Yeah, exactly. No. He doesn't even think of them as orgies anymore because every party he goes to is an orgy. So
exactly. So he's like orgy to him, like an orgy, like under 50 people isn't even an orgy. So
Grace has probably no idea that I've been accused of going to orgies every weekend for like 3 years.
Oh yeah, you're not aware of it.
Dude, I went to one with you.
You would never either.
He legitimately admitted to the fact that when he was younger, he would regularly go to a regular party that would every single time turn into an orgy.
Is that facts?
Yeah, I had this friend that was like a real total sex guy, and there were a few other people in our friends circle. These are my friends. These are just people that I hang out with, that I've hung out with since high school.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting. Like when your group of friends is like in the lifestyle, is there any? You are then in the lifestyle.
I left every time. 100%.
So you left the lifestyle?
No.
He left the party before the orgy started.
Lifestyle. Yeah, he hasn't left the lifestyle.
People would start to go upstairs or into a different room, like there was Coke at the party, and I'd be like, "That's my cue. Let's go." Me and my wife would leave the party.
And we don't need to rehash this again, but as people have mentioned, then that's fine if he did that one time, but then he kept going back to the party.
That's my friend.
Well, I will say this. I went to a party that turned into an orgy like last year, and I also left before the orgy.
See?
For me, I'm sober. And there is, if you're having an orgy sober,
we talked about that. Yeah, it is. You need to have drugs or alcohol involved.
Post nut clarity at an orgy. First of all, having sex with one of my male friends in the room, it to me is genuinely. I would rather do like a week a week. I would do like 3 months in Quentin, and before I got to see like the orgasmic fucking like the quivering of the lips and like the explosion of spittle as my friend busts a nut that half gets on me, and then I'm like, oh, it tastes disgusting. I don't want that. And so Bryan is just like every day.
We've read stuff from our swinger about post nut clarity where like those guys don't get it. Like they don't have it. We read. Remember,
they get past it. They move past it. They had it at some point, but
remember the guy was like, "How do I get past this?" And they're like, "You just sit down and have a conversation. Maybe eat a sandwich or something like that, and then go back at it."
Have some snacks. Yeah, sometimes there's snacks.
Food everywhere.
There's often snacks. You got to keep hydrated, or you got to get your energy up.
My question is this: you're in the middle of the orge, and you just, of course, you spend about 3 minutes in there, and you have fully expulsed your seed.
You're done.
Can you light up a fucking Camel Wide?
Probably. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That would be one of the few places nowadays where it would be totally fine to smoke a cigarette in a sex club. Yeah.
Before we finish up here, I want to say that menthols are banned everywhere.
And you know what? I'm not even joking. I legit am like, that's racist.
It is. I would say that menthols are the ones more known for like black smokers, like
I'd say this anecdotally. The only people I've ever known to smoke menthols regularly are my dad, me, and every black person I've like ever known.
Me too.
And, like it's when in rehab, and also people in rehab all smoke menthols.
Yeah.
But
what's the reasoning that the government gave for outlawing them? Because they're too like
they taste good.
They taste good, and then they would make children or younger people, same sort of thing with the flavored stuff.
And that's what's really weird is like they don't taste any better than cigarettes.
I think they taste awful personally. Like when I did smoke, I hated menthol. Like if I lit up a cigarette and it didn't realize it was a menthol and it was a menthol, it was like nauseating to me.
So mine is Marlboro Black menthols is what I was smoking the last time I smoked. And before that, it was Marlboro Lights. Straight up, I smoked Marlboro Lights for like 10 years. And then Reds for 10 years before that. So now they're trying to make menthols, guys. And on our cigarettes, this guy goes, how to make menthols. And he puts a pack of cigarettes in a jar. And then he dumps menthol crystals into the jar and closes the jar and then opens it up the next day. And you got yourself some menthols. And he says, did your ignorant country ban your favorite minty tobacco goodness? Fear no more. Experiment with the above at your convenience by changing the amounts and timing. I give her all the way and add the same 50 grams of crystals to every jar. Seriously, a teaspoon of menthol will probably work fine. Also enjoy. So now other people are giving their hints, and Age Stroref says, nah, just buy one of those big bags of peppermint candy and have it like 3 in your mouth as you smoke. It's cheaper.
What?
That doesn't work at all for people.
That's not going to work.
That's a fundamental misunderstanding of what is good about menthols. Because it's not the taste in your mouth, it's the feeling in your lungs.
Yeah, it really is. It's the mentholated flavor of the cool smoke hitting your lungs.
Yeah, and those Marlboro Blacks were barely menthol too. That's the other thing. Well, like
they banned the fucking the Switchums, the ones with the bead, the Camel Crushes. They banned those so quick because they were like, we can't have new cigarette technology. All our R&D has to go to vape. And so the minute some incredible thing came out that allowed people to be frankly bisexual with cigarettes for the first time ever, right when bisexuality was finally becoming
what explain? I don't know what these are. Explain.
So Camel Crushes are like a regular Camel cigarette that doesn't taste for some reason as good as a regular Camel cigarette, but they have a bead, a gel bead in the filter that you can press down on and it makes it a menthol.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it allows you to switch at will.
And it was good for like non-menthol play. Weren't they legal in places that menthols were illegal? Maybe.
I don't know.
This guy says he goes, this guy goes, I'm sorry. And so this guy tells a joke about the big bag of peppermint. And the guy goes, oh, my apologies. It's just that I've actually heard people suggest stuff like that. Haha. At one of my local smoke shops, they had a little Post-it note stuck up that said, need menthols? Try these, with an arrow pointing at extra gum. Ha. As if there's a single human on earth buying menthol cigarettes that hasn't tried gum before. Lordy.
So just chew the gum while you smoke.
Yeah, it's not
the same though. You guys are saying that's not the same.
I'll tell you this. Nothing beats menthol.
It's good. It's good.
It's good.
They're such good cigarettes. I've always wondered, because I never did hookah.
I did. We smoked hookah, definitely. My friend had a hookah, and we smoked a lot of hookah, yeah.
The mango I don't know. I can't even in my mind figure out what a flavored tobacco tastes like that's not menthol. Like that's the only flavor. No, I didn't. I think like it doesn't seem like it's for me, for sure.
This was not.
This guy says, I just buy menthol tobacco in tubes, but if your country's dead ass banned menthol, that sucks, bro. Move. And then our last guy here.
Move. Leave your country.
Unlikely Future says, dip your filters in mint mouthwash and let them dry. Now that I think is a terrible idea.
That's a horrible idea. I will say this though. Formaldehyde. If you dip a cigarette in formaldehyde,
I've done that. Have you ever done that?
Guys, listeners, you should do that. It gives it a crazy unique flavor.
Have you ever done the dipped joints?
Nah, I never have.
I did one with these fucking guys. Came over to this girl's house I used to hang out at all the time, and they had like 3 joints, and all of them were dipped, and they didn't tell us until we smoked them. We got through them, and it was like, I was so high. It was crazy. It was because we would smoke Primos a lot.
What's that?
Period. That's Coke and a joint. You put a little Coke in your joint, it comes up. You got yourself a nice little smoke and some Coke. But yeah, I tried
all those Cocoa Puffs. Cocoa Puffs is what we would call those.
I never smoked weed enough to do that. I just snorted cocaine.
Yeah. Well, I was smoking weed.
Yeah.
In like high school.
Yeah.
Like, I turned real. I'm low on weed now. Like I just do like a 5 milligram a day and I feel better.
I don't smoke weed anymore either. I only do edibles. So I don't smoke anything anymore. Nothing.
I'd love to smoke some cigarettes though.
I've just been like mostly fentanyl, but sometimes I do Dilaudid as well.
That stuff's Dilaudid.
Just occasionally, if you're like if it's
just like it's natural. It's from the earth. It's medicine, and so like
if you're going to a concert, if you're going to a concert,
like have like a presentation or something. Like I'll do fentanyl to kind of like
if you have
cool out, and then like I'll do Chrissy or whatever, like to like kind of bring myself back up in the morning,
just to keep yourself leveled off.
To keep it level, like keep myself leveled off.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we are done with nicotine, guys. It's always fucking fun to have Brace on from True Anon. Brace,
hey, I have a suggestion before we end. Sorry, have you guys done Cigar Guys?
We will. We have. I purposely didn't put any cigar or pipe tobacco stuff in here because I wanted pipe guys and cigar guys separately.
But let me just tell you my theory about. I know we have to get off, but let me tell you my theory about. I mean you have to get off in your daily orgy.
No, I don't have to. I don't
because obviously
an orgy go to.
Well, you go to. It happens. You bring them. Whatever.
Yeah, you're obviously you do it at your house now. You're not. Yeah.
My theory about cigar guys is the same thing I have about watch guys. Is they really just want to take a picture of their hand and wrist. So like. Cigar guys are very similar to like daily loadout guys because they also have loadouts for their cigars. And like it's almost always guys with like a heavily like Instagram filter, like washed out color, like color corrected, like their hand gripping a cigar in like this meaty sort of like phallic thing with like a hand vein rocking with that and like some gaudy watch. It's like it's because like I would posit that there's cigar guys, of course. And there's watch guys, of course, but the real thing is you're looking at is a wrist and hand guy.
Mm-hmm. I actually found that also to be sort of true with the when we did traveling guys and we found this credit card guy that had gotten this card that wasn't as metal as he. It was supposed to be a metal card, and it didn't weigh as much as he wanted.
Have the weight that he was looking.
You need the weight.
Yeah, to brace like he understands.
You need to have to that thing.
But I think they like to show off their fingers when they hold the thing up, and because it doesn't have the number on the front of them anymore. Yeah. It's on the back of them now, so you can show your credit cards off.
I'll tell you this, Brian. I went to Mumbai, of course, with my entourage, and the coolies on the docks as they were unloading our luggage, and as I was about to get into the palanquin, were of course tarrying a little bit. And so everyone in my entourage just took out our like 7-pound credit cards.
Yeah.
And just beat these men with them.
If you can't cause a concussion with your card, it ain't a real card.
If you can't slap the waiter with your card in your hand and give him permanent brain damage, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Oh, and this is an actual good suggestion if you are not a nicotine guy, but like a tobacco guy and you want to smoke cigarettes. Is this guy who lives in a rural area. He told me if you buy full leaves of tobacco and then you grind it up yourself, because when it's in leaf form, they don't tax it in the same way before it's ground up. Ooh. So you can buy leaf tobacco, like full leaves. And he did it. I saw his packaging of it. And, you know, for $20 worth, it would last him 6 months of smoking. Roll your own cigarettes. Yeah.
I'm looking it up now.
I was so bad at rolling my own cigarettes, which I try to do for financial reasons when I was a child.
I wonder if this is a thing that you can do in America as well. It might only be in Canada, but you see it?
I'll tell you this. My friend's dad smoked, and he fucking smoked Pall Mall non-filters. So every night when his parents went to bed, this guy would get a baggie, and he would empty out the filters into the baggie.
Wow.
And we had all this tobacco, and we had joints or rolling papers and we were rolling these huge cigarettes and smoking them all the time, but they were used tobacco. A guy had already smoked the cigarette.
I'll tell you this. I have 2 more quick cigarette things. One, the grossest thing I ever did when I was a junkie is I used a used cigarette filter to filter the heroin that I just found on the street.
I've heard of that.
Thing I've ever done in my life. You can use a cigarette filter, but it's not good to do.
Yeah, I've seen people do it.
You definitely don't want to do it that someone else smoked that you found on the street of 2014.
Yeah.
The other thing is when I was in the war, we didn't get paid, of course, but like we got as many cigarettes as we wanted. Sometimes we didn't have food, but we would have like endless ultralight Armenian cigarettes. And so I was smoking 4 packs a day at some point.
I remember when you were out. I remember when you got back, you told me that the cigarettes were the worst cigarettes in the world. The
worst cigarettes in the world. It was like smoking nothing, but it also made you feel worse than any cigarette ever could.
Sick.
4 packs is tough.
4 packs is tough.
We'll see you all next week. We don't know what the show is going to be. This is the end of a run. When we come back, Chris will have a baby. And, Brace is on Truanon. Do you have anything else, Brace?
Well, that seems like, I mean, I don't know. Like I do these, like I throw these sex parties.
He doesn't throw sex parties.
So I don't throw a sex party.
Nobody does sex parties.
No, I don't have anything else. Well, you can buy the Storm the Capitol board game online, although it's not the Truanon edition anymore, but I still help make it.
Nice. All right. We'll see you all next week, and goodbye.
Bye.